Good morning, good morning. It's Carol Chamberlain in for the lovely Leza Live on the News 103.5 KYCA. Happy Hallows Eve, Matt.
Hallows Eve, like Hallows Eve Eve? Is it
Hallows
Halloween?
Eve.
Hallows Eve?
Oh, yeah, it's Halloween Eve. Happy Halloween Eve.
So Hallows Eve Eve.
That's
I like
it.
that. That works.
Are you all ready?
No.
Do you get ready?
No.
No.
No, I've been
I knew that one.
I've been in my house since 2017. I bought it November 2017. I've never had one trick-or-treater, so they all go to Mount Vernon.
Actually, I have never had a trick-or-treater either. Ken and I don't buy candy anymore because if we have it, I eat it, and so we don't have it.
Me too. I'm trying to resist, especially with my newfound health attempts.
I'm so glad to hear that. How are you doing, Drew?
I'm doing great, and I'm helping Matt out by eating extra candy. So
Yeah. Drew's eating my candy for me.
Actually, that is very neighborly of you.
it's the least I could do.
I appreciate that. So, did you do Taco Tuesday last night?
Yes.
Whereabouts?
We ended up going to Lido, Mexico. Gail Gardner and Iron Springs.
Oh, yes. It's a very
Lindo.
festive-looking place.
Yeah. And they did a great job. We had a small group, only had 4 of us, so that was okay.
So, what kind of tacos did you have?
I had chili verde burrito.
That just rolls off your tongue, doesn't it?
It was just the thing to have. So didn't feel like tacos. But we call it Taco Tuesday. It's just an excuse to go out with the neighbors and have fun. And to be honest with you, I didn't feel like cooking, and neither did Jamie or Marcy or Ron. So they came over. We don't want to cook. You want to go out? Sure. Okay.
That's really good. Actually, I just thought about it. I've had tacos 3 times in the last full week. Last week, Ken and I went to Salt and Pepper.
Nice.
I actually started to say Peppa. Is there a group?
I like that. I'm okay with that.
That was a disco group.
Disco
Salt
group.
and Pepper.
So we went to Salt and Pepper and split their taco trio, which was very good. And then on Friday, I went to lunch with a girlfriend at St. Michael's and had fish tacos.
Okay.
A lot of fish in those fish tacos and fried. And last night, I made them.
Good.
I think the real question here is, are you supposed to eat tacos less than 3 times a week? Because I have them at least 3 times a week.
Do you really?
No. Sometimes.
Do you
Depends.
I know some people who couldn't live without pizza 3 times a week. Can you?
I haven't had pizza in a long time. I think probably about a month ago I had a slice of pizza, but that's one of the things I'm trying not to do, the carbs.
Oh.
And pizza is one of the best meals in the world, and it's nothing but carbs.
So where's your favorite pizza from?
Oh, man, I have to say Bill's Pizza, of course, all day.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely, Bills.
Oh, well, there you go. I'll have to try that next.
You've never been to Bill's Pizza?
I've been to Bill's Pizza once.
Okay. What?
I think once. We're not big pizza eaters.
Ugh.
Pangea does a good job on their pizza as well. If you haven't had that, the bakery.
Oh,
But
really?
but if you're not there by 1 o'clock, everything's gone. All the fresh bread, everything.
Oh.
That place is fantastic.
I'll have to
You
try.
know, Barry likes that place too.
Well,
Yeah.
then that is a 4-star place.
He loves Bill's, too.
Yeah, he loves Bill's, and every now and then you got to hit Grumpy, get the Sicilian thick style pizza at Grumpy Sicilian,
Where's that?
Whiskey Row, right next to the Artful Eye.
Oh, my gosh. So I guess I just stop at the Artful Eye.
Understandable. So does Leza.
Yeah, I wonder if she knew that there was a pizza place there.
I don't think she knew there's anything else past that on Whiskey Row.
That's true. If she's coming from St. Michael's, she stops there and goes back.
You know who else has good pizza is Park Plaza Liquor and Deli.
Yeah.
I like their pizza.
But my advice, if you go to Bill's, go with a group, like 8 people, 6 people. Don't get the full size. Get individuals and get a variety and share.
Well,
Then you can try all the different varieties they have.
A pizza aficionado. Thank you so much for the advice.
I eat a little too much, if you can't tell.
Well, I know where to go for my cuisine advice.
Drew.
Thank you very much. Okay, tonight might not be Hallows Eve, but it is Devil's Night, which is also called Mischief Night. And you know the reason I know this so well is because Ken is from Detroit originally. And it seems that that might be where it started. But anyway, tonight, Devil's Night, the night before Halloween when all heck breaks loose. What started in the 70s with dumb coordinated gags like egg tossing and toilet papering houses, that started before the 70s.
Oh, absolutely.
These people weren't born then, but anyway, eventually escalated into arson and other crimes by the mid-'80s. In Detroit alone, more than 800 fires were set on Devil's Night in 1984. That's why a lot of places still issue curfews tonight. You know, Detroit's a beautiful city. I don't know if you've ever been. It was a
beautiful city.
It was truly a beautiful city, and I will tell you, we were back there a couple of years ago, and it's getting better. But all these houses that were burned down or burned out in the 80s, a lot of them were still standing.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just devastating to see that sort of, just non-curbsmanship that you would see in Detroit. But now, at least they've raised those buildings and there's grass growing, so at least that.
Yeah, they've really cleaned it up. I worked in Livonia, Michigan, which
Did
is
you really?
Yes, off of Schoolcraft Road, and I was there for Devil's Night
Were
that
you-
you're talking about.
Were you scared to death?
I was working, so I was installing a printing press at a company called Velasquez Impact, which does about 80% of your coupons that you get out of the newspapers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was there and I'm hearing the sirens and everything. I'm like, what's going on? The guy goes, they're just burning the city down. They're just burning all the old houses. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay.
That's just horrible to hear. Oh, my gosh. I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay. It is also National Candy Corn Day. So, anybody here eat candy corn?
Not voluntarily.
No. Everybody's shaking their heads in this studio. Well, consistently voted one of the most hated candies in America. It was invented back in the late 1800s when candy was considered punishment. I have never heard that before. Candy considered punishment? I don't understand.
It's my kind of punishment.
Yeah.
Bring it on. Anyway, it's made from corn syrup, marshmallows, and food covering. And about 35 million pounds of candy corn are produced every year. But it's truly hard to say how much is eaten. I can sure believe
Does
that.
candy corn ever go bad?
I don't think so. I think it's like Twinkies.
Okay.
Well, I mean, let's see what it's got in it. It's got marshmallows, food covering, and coloring, and corn syrup. So unless you get it wet, it probably doesn't. It must be like honey.
Do you know anybody that's ever bought a bag of that and still have it?
No, I've never known anybody buy a bag of it. In fact,
Voluntarily bought a bag, right? I personally think they made all the candy corn they're ever going to make about 50 years ago, and people just keep sending it back and not eating it, and it's going to be around forever.
I think the only thing it would do is probably fade in color. If the sun gets on it, it would fade some. So I would tell you, though, that chocolate Halloween candy is more expensive this year, which isn't surprising to me. Isn't everything in the world on a grocery aisle more expensive this year?
I think everything, period, is more expensive.
I would agree with that. And, well, we're not going to talk about
Yeah.
inflation on this show. You probably spent a pretty penny on Halloween candy this week. The price of chocolate's gone up 45% this year. And they say it's because of bad crops, which I really don't understand since everything else has. Companies don't want to pay for it, so they're buying less, and there's less chocolate on the shelves because of it. So that is one excuse for more candy corn, I guess.
But the chocolate's better, though.
The chocolate is better.
Than candy corn?
Oh,
Yeah.
of
All
course it's
day.
better, but it's less available. I think we have a caller, Glenn, calling in maybe to talk about candy. Hello, Glenn.
Hello.
Are you a candy guy?
I am not. I'm going to talk about entertainment at the Elks Performing Arts Center.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Well, I am happy to have you talk about the Elks Theater. Go right ahead.
Well, this particular show this time around is upstairs in the third floor Crystal Ballroom, which personally I really enjoy. We do our shows in the larger theater as well, but this is really an intimate setting, and we have a whole different approach to the shows that we normally do in the larger room. And we've got shows. We've got 4 coming up over the weekend. So a real retro rockin' weekend is yet to come, starting on Friday night.
Retro rockin'. There is nothing better than retro rocking. So tell us the details, Glenn.
Well, on Friday night, that would be the 1st at 7 p.m., Super 80s concert dance party. So if you grew up in the 80s, I guess that's probably Gen X generation, you are going to be really, really enjoying this because it's a variety of great 80s music from, Billy Idol, ZZ Top, and
my favorite.
many, many, many more. Of course, Van Halen. Can't have 80s without Van Halen. And that starts at 7 p.m. There's tickets still available for that. They're available on the website for the Elks. Now, the next day, November the 2nd, at 2 p.m., a special Beach Boys matinee performed by Catch a Wave, featured at Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure Park. This show replicates the 1960s Beach Boys to the T, recreating and presenting all those great hits. It's a beach party, so you know what? Wear your favorite Hawaiian shirt. There's tickets for that available.
Excellent.
As well, November 2nd, Saturday night, is Paperback Writer The Beatles Show. That one, however, is sold out.
Oh, good for it.
Yeah, so that's that. But they'll be back. They'll be back next year in 2025 in March. And November the 3rd, which is Sunday, 3 p.m. matinee with Simon and Garfunkel, performed by Feeling Groovy.
I'm feeling pretty groovy. How about you, Glenn?
I'm feeling groovy right now. So I'm in the shows, and also I produce and manage the shows. And I'm also in them. And the Simon Garfunkel show also does some of the Paul Simon solo career. So that hence the name Retro Rockin' Weekend.
Well,
pretty much.
It sounds wonderful, and it sounds like something we can all relate to in one manner or another. Anything else for us, Glenn?
That's going to be it. I appreciate you having me on for the short time, and we'll hope to see a lot of folks out there this weekend at the Elks Crystal Ballroom Performing Arts Center. And like I said, information and tickets are available. Just simply contact the theater, and we'll see everybody then.
Very good. Thanks for that rock and retro information, and have a good Halloween, Glenn.
Yes, thank you. You too.
So,
Well, I got an interesting one.
what?
This just popped up on our KYCA Facebook page.
Yes?
I guess we could talk about it.
What?
It says, well, here it is, folks. The big announcement. The team 1450 Knot debuts Friday, November 1st, as Prescott Broadcasting begins operating Knot AM and Magic 99.1 FM in Prescott. We're excited to bring Prescott's first sports and lifestyle station on the air. We'll feature plenty of national sports talk shows such as Dan Patrick, Rich Eisen, and much more, and The Ramsey Show with Dave Ramsey. Live weekday afternoons, along with plenty of live professional college and local sporting events such as the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, college football, and basketball, and much more. We hope you tune in. The website will be up soon, and we hope to have an app ready to go as well. We'll also reveal the full schedule in a few more posts. Hope you'll join the team beginning Friday. So now the cat's out of the bag.
How very good. The team on Magic 99.1.
Yeah. The team and 1450 AM, and then Magic 99.1 is now under Prescott Broadcasting.
Pretty exciting.
Jason did a really good job. The morning report today was about the updates and the changes to KYCA and all the others. So that was Jason's morning report, which we'll have on the archives here, in the afternoon by 2 o'clock. But yeah, he expands a little bit more on that and talks about it. It was really good. It was a really good, 5-6 minutes.
Excellent. And speaking of expansion, boy, Jason is doing it.
Well, I got to tell you, that man's been working his tail off.
He has been. I've seen him around the studio. His eyes are spinning.
Yeah, he's put it you this way, he's in 6th gear and he's only got a 5-speed. So
Well, he's doing it very well
Yeah.
and moving on down the road. So we're going to take a break right now and come back for a day in the life of an airline pilot with Clint Kennedy. Be right back. Welcome back. It's Carol Chamberlain in for Leza Live on the News 103.5 KYCA. Happy to be joined by, I just found out, Captain Clint Kennedy. Welcome, Clint.
Like I said, if any of my friends are listening, I'm never going to hear the end of it.
I'm going to call you Cap.
Okay, that sounds good.
Before we go any further, I have to say congratulations to Nicole.
Oh, yeah.
Your wife, Nicole, just got a great job at Yavapai College Foundation. She's the Chief Development Officer.
That's correct.
Actually, that's just great. We all know Nicole.
Yeah, I'm affectionately known as Nicole Kennedy's husband in this town. So
Not anymore. Now
No.
you're going to be called
yeah,
Cap.
no, I'll take it. That's fine.
So, actually, I just got a story that came in. So, I guess first I should ask, what airline you fly with?
Well, I fly for American, but you probably just lost 20% of your listeners by saying that. I'm just kidding.
Oh, absolutely
No,
not.
I'm with American Airlines.
American Airlines, fabulous, fabulous airlines. And they just completed their longest nonstop flight ever, which took off from Dallas at 10 o'clock on Saturday night and landed just before 5 on Monday morning. That's a long time. In Brisbane, Australia. That's 8,300 miles and 16 hours of straight flight time. that would be just about 23 episodes of Suits.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can binge watch an entire show on that flight probably.
American will fly the route 5 times a week, giving travelers plenty of opportunities to experience one of the longest flights in the world. Hope they get up and walk around.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. So
So,
it's a 4-man crew on that. So it's you get. I used to fly that airplane, the 787. So I was on it for about 4.5 years. Flew it out of Chicago, mainly to Europe. But it's a good airplane, and we crew it with 4 guys on a flight that long. So we're rotating about every 3 hours or so, and we have a rest area actually on the airplane where we can go up and take a nap.
Oh, actually, that's great. Is it one of the airplanes that you could lie down flat in business class?
Yes, it is.
Those are amazing little pods, I have to admit.
Yeah, we're actually getting different ones on our narrow-body airplanes that we're going to be flying to Europe shortly. The plane that I fly now, we actually we have a version that's coming. It keeps getting delayed and delayed from Airbus, but it should be hopefully by the end of this year, early next year, we should get our first one, and they're going to be retrofitted with new pods even on those airplanes to
Really?
rest in.
So narrow-bodied, that means 3 and 3 or...
Right. So an easy way to remember it: if it's got 1 aisle, it's a narrow body. If it's got 2 aisles, it's a wide body.
Oh.
That's kind of the.
See all the stuff you learn already. Okay, so tell me first what it takes to become an airline pilot. What was your journey?
Well, it's changed a lot over the years. So when I went through, I did the standard. I came here. I went to Embry-Riddle for 4 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did 4 years at Embry-Riddle, and then I actually instructed out there for 2 years after I graduated.
Huh.
So I'm coming from the civilian side.
Okay.
There's also the military side, which you can come through as well. So I did that 4 years of school, 2 years as an instructor, and then I got picked up at the time. This was sort of the carbon copy of what everybody did. You went from being a flight instructor or some sort of small flying corporate gig, towing banners, to then the regional airlines, which are, I don't want to call them subsidiaries. They're other airlines that have partnerships with the major airlines. So the airline that flies in and out of here is SkyWest. It has a purchase agreement with United. United paints the airplanes in their colors, sells their tickets, and so on. So I went to 2 actually for 8.5 years. I worked with those airlines, and then transferred over to American. So just building experience in that time. But everyone's journey is different in the airlines. Right now, you can get in a little bit faster than I could. I graduated college in 2002. I was a senior in 2001, and we all know what happened in September of 2001.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Speaking of airplanes. Oof.
yeah, and so then that slowed obviously the aviation, the airline progression careers at the major level went down.
Of course it did.
Yeah. So
That really impacted your life. Who would have even thought that?
yeah, and we actually call it the lost decade. I didn't get too affected by it. I did and I didn't. I had definitely some struggles going through that because then the housing crisis in 07 also took another hit.
Yeah.
And then we ran into COVID, which I think we actually managed COVID the best of all those. The other ones were pretty detrimental to the airlines for a while.
Well, when you look back like that, it really is a devastating time that you don't think about as we move forward in our lives. So did you always want to be an airline pilot? When you were a boy, is that, I don't want to be a cowboy. I don't play cowboys and Indians. I play airline pilot.
No, it was interesting. So my father was an airline pilot. He flew for TWA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and my brother was also a pilot. He was a pilot in the Air Force. He also flew for a company known as World Airlines. They've transitioned to another company called Atlas now. I guess you could say it was the family business, so to speak. But my dad never pushed me to be an airline pilot. He kind of gave me, whatever I wanted to do. My family supported whatever I wanted, and I don't know. I guess it just kind of came naturally to me. I looked at becoming a doctor and said, wow, I'm not that smart, nor do I want to spend that much time waiting for it.
Exactly.
Do I want to become a lawyer? No.
Just no.
Yeah. So, obviously the high careers that you have aspirations to be. And then I said, well, I guess I kind of understand this lifestyle. So I just decided to start it. Came here to Riddle, and the rest is history for me.
Came here to Riddle from where?
Durango, Colorado.
Not a far hop.
No. And I think that was one reason I chose it. It was close to home. At least get, first few years out of school or out of high school and away from home. At least I could get back if I wanted to. I actually intended to only go there 2 years and then go to another bigger university, but ended up staying all 4 years, which I'm glad I did, because that ended up, that progressed to a decent career and also meeting Nicole. So
You just can't ask for more.
No,
A
you
good
can't.
life all the way around. Okay, so tell me what a day at work looks like for you.
Okay. Well, I can only speak to my individual stuff
Sure,
because
sure.
everyone's different. It's all based on kind of different airlines, different work schedules, different rules, and then on top of that, you have where you are on the seniority list.
Always.
Yeah, our career is all based on seniority. So for me right now, I've been with American I'm starting my 12th year, but I'm actually a very junior captain in the base of Phoenix. Phoenix is our most senior base domestically. So I could go to other bases, Miami or Dallas, and be a little more senior, but I'm lucky enough to be close to Phoenix, so I can just drive to work. But in that, I'm giving up seniority. So a day for me, I'm on reserve, which means I'm available for them to call on certain specific days of the week.
Okay.
Usually I'm on the red-eye trips. So I start a 3 or a 4 day trip with a red-eye to the East Coast out of Phoenix.
Oh.
So I'll fly, Charlotte, New York, something like that on the East Coast, and then I'll progress to do another 3 or 4 days of flying after that. A typical day for me, it starts at 8 p.m. when I leave Prescott to drive down to Phoenix.
So what time do you start? Bright and early, 8 p.m.
Yeah, 8 p.m. bright and early. No, I see the sun come up, but yeah. So typical day, sometimes I fly one leg. Usually if we're flying one leg, we're flying a longer segment. So something across the country. Some days I'll fly 4 legs, depending on what the schedule calls for.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there, and we're going to come back and talk about legs.
Okay.
That is flight legs. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. It's Carol Chamberlain in for Leza Live on the News 103.5 KYCA, talking to Captain Clint Kennedy. I hope your friends are listening, Cap.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about legs. How big is a leg? It depends.
Yeah, it all depends. So
Tell me about that one leg and that 4-leg day.
okay, so like a 1-leg day. So we're restricted by how many hours we can fly and how long we can be on duty. Now we can be on duty for a long time, like 14 hours we can be on duty. Doesn't mean we're flying that whole time,
Right.
but it just means that's when we show up and when we finish. And then typically in a normal day we can fly anywhere between 8 to 9 hours. So a longer leg is going to be something we call them transcon. I think you guys have all heard that term before.
Yeah.
So, New York, LA, Phoenix, Boston, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
When you fly a longer leg segment like that, that means obviously you've taken a pretty big chunk out of the flight time and the duty time, but they can still squeeze in another, what we call a turn. So we'll go out of our base to somewhere and then back to our base. So sometimes I'll fly in from Charlotte on my last day. So I'll have like a leg from Charlotte to Phoenix, and then we call them a penalty lap, because I call them a penalty lap. Because it's, here we are, I'm at my base. I can just get out and go home from here, but now I got to go to San Diego and back.
Oh.
So, yeah, so our legs will vary.
A punishment leg.
Yeah, maybe that would be a better way to call it. So, there's little penalty laps here and there.
So what's the longest you're allowed to fly at a time?
The longest, it depends on what time we start in the day. Typically 9 hours is the longest I can fly domestically with a 2-man crew.
So how do you maintain your concentration during that time? I mean, I can even tell you that when I'm driving 60 miles, I can lose concentration.
So you're talking about when you get to somewhere, you're like, how did I get here?
oh, no, don't tell me that happens to
No, it doesn't.
No.
No, I'm not going to say that. But, there are 2 of us for a reason. And there's technically 3 of us because the aircraft does, we put the aircraft on autopilot. We're doing a lot of monitoring of the airplane.
That's the third pilot.
Yeah, that's kind of the third pilot, right? So it does the majority of the en route segment. We're still monitoring it. Everything we put into the airplane, we have to monitor and make sure it does it. So we load the computer, make sure the computer's doing what it's supposed to do, check our routing, check our altitudes, check our speeds, and then make sure the aircraft is abiding by those. And if not, we have to intervene and make sure that the aircraft does what we need it to do. And, people say, oh, it's got to be really easy to do that. You just turn the autopilot on. Well, I mean, I can turn the autopilot on. I'm allowed to with my aircraft at 100 feet. As soon as we take off 100 feet, I can turn the autopilot on. But I also then I have to turn it off to land, unless I don't want to get into the minutia of flying. But we also have an auto land capability, which we never do.
But, I mean, if something happened to both pilots, at least you've got that third option.
Yeah, we can do that. We usually use that in very low visibility situations, very, very low visibility situations, so we can still get to the destination. So we'll let the aircraft do what we call an auto land. But that's actually we do that in training a lot because it's not something we do every day.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's a lot of, it actually is a very high workload. We're really paying attention to the aircraft because we've got to make sure everything's lining up. So
thank goodness.
Yeah. So how do I stay concentrated? I don't know. I mean, obviously we stay in conversation with each other. It's not like we're sitting up there talking only about airplane stuff. So.
Oh no, you're talking politics. I just heard about
yeah, yeah, we're up there solving all the world's problems. So that's pretty much it. Just stay engaged with the other guy. Pay attention to the aircraft, and like I said, we do most of the flying. I tend to fly the aircraft up to 15,000 feet before I'll turn the autopilot on, just to stay, a little bit recent with the airplane.
So when that first bing happens, it says you're at 10,000 feet, you can use your stuff.
Yeah, that's typically about the time I'm usually turning it over to the autopilot, and then I'll usually shut the autopilot off 1,000 feet, and then I'll fly it into the landing.
Okay, so tell me how you feel when some alarm goes off. And when does an alarm go off? So you're on autopilot. You're flying at 35,000 feet. Is that how high you fly?
Yeah, sometimes we go higher, sometimes we go lower. Depends.
So you're at 35,000 feet and an alarm goes off. What does that usually mean to you?
Well, it depends on there's different types of alarms. So we have
What's the most alarming
caution
one?
and a warning. Well, we have a warning that goes off. So warnings are high-level stuff that we need to focus on right away. We talked about the autopilot. That's one of the most important things to us is if we have a situation and the autopilot's not the issue, we'll make sure we leave that on so one of us can monitor the aircraft and the other person can actually deal with what's happening with the airplane. So when the alarm goes off, we're trained. I mean, we spend a lot of time in simulators training how we go through different types of emergencies, and a lot of it is we do a lot of high-level emergencies in the simulator, obviously, but most of the stuff we deal with is pretty benign. So our training we actually at American call it the fix 'em strategy. So as soon as we hear an alarm, one person immediately says my aircraft, the other person, that's typically whoever's leg it's designated to.
Okay.
And so people understand we trade every leg. The other guy flying is just as certified as I am. He's typed in the aircraft. It's just a seniority thing why they're in the different seats.
Which is why you're a captain.
Right. It's just, yeah, I finally had reached enough time at the company and they needed another captain, so I was able to take it at that time.
So if an alarm goes off, do I as a passenger know it or do
No.
I not know anything?
No, you probably won't know anything unless it's something major. You guys won't know anything that's going on.
Okay, when we come back from this break, I want you to tell me, I'm this kind of flyer,
Okay.
but I want you to tell me what the worst thing could possibly be. So we'll be right back to
Okay.
talk about major problems.
Okay.
Welcome back. It's Carol Chamberlain in for Leza Live on the News 103.5 KYCA, talking with Clint Kennedy of American Airlines about I'm going to say the scariest thing that has happened to you as a pilot.
Okay. I hate saying the word scary. It's just stuff that we,
It would be
prepare.
to me because
Yeah.
I'll be back there in a seat just clutching the armrest.
Well, and you asked, passengers will know, obviously, and we have to be as honest as we can. If we have something like an engine failure occur, people will probably understand a rapid decompression, like the Alaska flight. Pretty much everybody on that airplane was aware something was going on.
Well, yeah, those people who are hitting their heads on the ceiling.
Yeah, so you asked about mine. I would say the most eventful flight that I've ever dealt with was we were just doing a flight. This was at my previous carrier. We were doing a longer flight from Houston out to Bakersfield, California, and the weather was forecast to be really bad in Bakersfield, but we were supposed to get in before it, but the forecast was wrong.
Oh.
Shocking. Weatherman's wrong. So we ended up getting into some pretty severe turbulence. I've only been in severe turbulence twice in my career, and
Really?
that was one of the times. Yeah, it was a pretty tough ride getting into the airport. There was just a pretty large cold front moving in. To put it into perspective, Los Angeles was experiencing severe thunderstorms, so they don't ever. When do they get thunderstorms? So.
Well, actually, I hadn't thought about that. They don't?
They do every now and then, but not.
And apparently they
not
did on
very
that
often.
day.
Yeah, and so we were able to get down, started the approach for the airport, but the winds were extremely high. As a front passes, as winds come in from a cold front or even a warm front, but specifically cold fronts, the winds can really get going. And so we ended up getting what we call a wind shear event.
That's a word that was in my head.
Yeah. So wind shear events are, just a rapid change in the direction of the wind. It happened to us pretty low to the ground. Our aircraft warned us, hey, wind shear, go around. So we did the go around maneuver. It was definitely a rough ride on getting back up to altitude. We got back up to altitude, and there was another airplane trying to get in as well. They couldn't get in a second time, so we said, hey, let's divert. We're going to head to a different city. So we started heading for Los Angeles, but Los Angeles airport was closed because of thunderstorms.
Oh, my gosh.
We weren't getting a ton of support from the air traffic controllers because they're trying to manage all these airplanes going into L.A. that can't get into
but they're
L.A.
your lifeline.
Yeah, they are. And, I mean, they ended up doing okay for us, but we ended up having to declare an emergency for fuel. That was our issue. So we were starting to get low on fuel because they were vectoring us, which means turning us. We weren't on a direct route anywhere. They were vectoring us to try and get us on a routing to get us towards Los Angeles. But we couldn't go to L.A. because the thunderstorms there, so we were scrambling, trying to figure out where are we going to go. We looked at going to Ontario, and eventually we finally were able to get over to the coastline, but we were getting pretty low on fuel to a point where we had to declare an emergency for fuel. So that gets our attention, obviously.
Oh, obviously.
So,
Okay, so I can imagine what's going on in the cockpit. What's going on in the back of the plane?
I don't really know what was going on. I know from the ride, from the turbulence, it was dead quiet back there. We were so busy.
That's a phrase for you, dead quiet.
Yeah.
No, not a good one.
Yeah, it was the sound of the silence was deafening, I guess, back there. We were really busy up front. We don't have time to really be too concerned about that. We didn't even have a chance to talk to our flight attendant. We only had one on that airplane. It's a 50-seat airplane. You only require one. Similar to like what flies out of Prescott.
Oh, so you're really being bounced around in that.
Yeah, and we're
plane.
trying to figure out where we're going to go. And eventually we finally were able to get into Burbank, was where we ended up landing. But the thing is Burbank for us was considered like a provisional or an emergency airport.
Huh?
We had no operations there, no staff, nothing. So that turned into another fiasco because we couldn't deplane the aircraft. We couldn't unload bags. We couldn't do anything.
Could you refuel?
Yeah, we could refuel. That was the one. It's a provisional for gas. So we went there. We actually went over to their corporate side where the nicer,
Right.
more expensive airplanes are, and parked there. They got us fuel, and then we ended up finally heading back and getting into Burbank or into Bakersfield that night.
Wow. So was the bar open?
In
the back of the plane, in the
yeah. Well, I don't know if anybody would have taken a drink. I remember opening the door and we had a few. It was just dead silent. The thing we were mainly dealing with was we had a baby on board and they were out of milk. They didn't have anything, so we had to figure. That was the main thing I was dealing with
Oh,
at
my
that time
goodness.
on the ground was so.
So it's just one thing after another after another. That's a snowball effect, as it were. So you're talking about weather. So you're at 35,000 feet, and you anticipate that there's going to be weather because you're hearing about it, and that's when you tell everybody to buckle up because it's going to be rough.
Right.
Do do you believe in telling people that it's going to be bad and then hoping it's going to be better? Or
Yeah, I
telling,
think I always take that perspective of it'd be, it's better to tell someone, hey, this could be potentially a rough ride, as you called it. We just say it's going to be bumpy. Try to keep it light as much as possible. And because there's times I've been through stuff and I didn't think it was going to be bumpy, and it was really bumpy. And there's other times that it looks like it could be a rough ride and it's not too bad. But err on the side of caution and just let everybody stay down. I want to keep my flight attendants down too. I don't need them up walking around, getting thrown around. So,
Right.
yeah, anytime we're coming up on weather, I'll get everybody down and I'll make a PA or a passenger announcement. Sorry, that's kind of inside lingo.
that's perfectly okay. So if you're at 35,000 feet, is there a possibility that at 40,000 feet it's smoother?
Yeah, it can change. I mean, we have temperature variation, wind variations, so we can change altitudes. We do that a lot. We call it hunting for a smoother ride. So we'll try to go up or down to try and find a ride.
Okay, so and you depend on the people who are looking at the weather to tell you where it might
Actually,
be
we're
better?
dependent on other pilots.
Okay.
The other
well,
airplanes that are
makes
out
more
there.
sense.
Yeah, we have a lot more information. We have the air traffic controllers who've been dealing with a certain area all day that we're talking to. Hey, how's your ride through your sector?
Okay.
So we can rely on that, and we have charts. We have all kinds. We have all the fancy stuff now. We have Wi-Fi, so we can pull up charts and look at ride conditions and stuff up
See,
front.
you all are just so smart. Okay, we're going to come back to Captain Clint Kennedy right after this announcement. Hello again. It's Carol Chamberlain in for Leza live on the news 103.5 KYCA. talking with Clint Kennedy about a day in the life of an airline pilot. So we were talking about, problems with planes and turbulent weather. Talk to me about the turbulence in the back of the plane.
That's the more challenging part to deal with.
It didn't used to be that way, did it?
I don't know. I don't know really. I mean, when I was a kid, my dad was a pilot. And I had to wear, like a suit every time I went flying, and
Exactly.
so yeah, obviously times have changed, and we can spend hours talking about why they changed.
Yes. Society has changed.
Yeah, that too. The airlines got very competitive, very, very competitive after they were deregulated in the 70s, in the late 70s, early 80s. And once they got deregulated, it became all a cutthroat business. Who can offer the cheapest and
I didn't realize that. I wonder what the price of a ticket back then was, because I certainly didn't fly.
They
on
were
them.
pretty expensive, but I think if you go, if you actually do it with inflation, you're still paying less today than you were back then. I know and don't get me wrong, I understand airline tickets are expensive. So,
Oh, yes, they are. Ken and I just discovered that. Anyway, so tell me what's the worst thing that's happened to you in the back of your plane? Have you gotten involved?
no, actually, I'm very blessed. I'm not a forward-facing employee, even though I'm on. People see us, but that's more of flight attendants and gate agents and customer service reps. That's their job to deal with those people. Now, obviously, when we're in the air, I have protocols, things that I have to do. So we're known as the in-flight security coordinator. But when we're on a gate,
Wait a minute. In-flight security coordinator is the pilot?
Yes. Now, we're up in the front. We're behind our closed door. We're making decisions. That's really all that means, is you're managing the situation.
Okay.
Whereas on the ground, I work with other teammates from the airline, and we have customer service reps and managers and so
Sure.
on, and we get them involved. I really have been pretty blessed. I'll try to be as quick as I can. I had a toy gun on my airplane one time.
Ooh, ouch.
That was found out by TSA while they were boarding. They actually didn't catch it going through the screen. It was actually caught by the TSA people working in the back that are monitoring everything.
Huh.
They sent some people down, and my thought was, they didn't know it was a toy at the time.
Sure.
So they said, hey, we know who the passenger is. We know where they're seated. We're going to get them off, talk to them, figure it out. And I said, well, how do you know they didn't drop the gun off in the bathroom and somebody else picked it up? So, that's
I've
why
seen
we're
that
that's why
movie.
that's why we're coordinating and talking with each other. So then it became a fiasco with them actually sending everyone out of Eugene Airport and having them rescreened. And we had dogs search our airplane. We found it. It was a toy. She was a self-defense instructor, and she left her toy gun in the plane in her bag.
Did
So-
she forget it?
No, she forgot it was in the bag. That she didn't check the bag. She actually was carrying it on, so it made it all the way through security. So
Oh.
anyway, long story short, I asked her to take the next flight because the people on my flight were.
So bad
She was
going
gonna
to
She was gonna have to use her self-defense skills. I was concerned.
I can only imagine that. So I'm guessing that the service of alcohol can also add to issues in the back of a plane.
It can. I mean, our flight attendants are trained to recognize when someone's had too much. If someone boards the aircraft intoxicated, it's pretty easy for us to say, hey, this you're gonna have to take the next one. I've had to take passengers off for that. I've been very blessed. I've never had really anybody push back from me. I've taxied out and to get ready for takeoff, and the flight attendant says, hey, this guy's he's intoxicated. We got to get him off. So, okay, cool.
And you've turned around and come back?
Yep, go back and so get someone else in the loop. And this both times that I've dealt with that, one time as a captain, one time as a first officer, the passengers just got off. They didn't argue with us, didn't fight. No problems. So
Oh my gosh. It's a good thing you got them off, because I would think that the rest of the people on the plane would be so mad, just like with the toy gun person.
yeah, they are. And we can let the mob in the back sometimes serve justice too. So, but as a pilot, we don't get involved in a face-to-face with anyone ever. There's
Well,
too many Martin Scorseses with phones in their pockets to film me. I don't need that.
Oh, come
So, like I told you before, my favorite piece of equipment on the airplane is the cockpit door. Just close that up and
That's
off
a
we go.
pretty good one. I tell you, it has been such a pleasure talking with you, Clint.
It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Airline flights to me have always been so great. I mean, as a young person, it was just a neat thing to do, and now it just gets you where you're going to someplace good. So thank you for doing that for us, and
You bet. Thank
thanks
you guys.
for coming in to chat with what it's like in the cockpit and what it's like in the back of the plane. So it has been great chatting with all of you. So we will see you tomorrow. Have a good evening.